Hey guys, this is Simeon. This is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 27th of January 2021 to talk about everything that went down tonight on AEW Dynamite and NXT on the USA Network. And looking at a couple things really fast, I need to change one of my settings just so this looks better for you guys. Let's go there. And we're there. With that, guys, like I said, welcome here tonight. We're talking AEW. We're talking NXT. Also, I want to know what you guys thought of tonight's show. So I'm going to put, why can't I find it? A poll up. What? We'll talk about Dynamite first. What did you think of AEW Dynamite? That's not spelled right. All right. I liked it. It was all right. We're just letting more people file into the live stream as we get going right here. So once we get the polls done, we should have most of the people in. It was all right. I didn't like it. All right. If you are watching on Twitch, that poll is live. So the same poll up on YouTube if you're watching there as well. And that's not the poll I wanted. It didn't even let me add anything. That was weird. Try this again, YouTube. I liked it. It right. Didn't. Bing, bang, boom. All right. Got polls on Twitch. We got polls on YouTube. No polls on Twitter. Righty. Actually, Hat Brat, I did change it, but I've been having an issue with Twitch where it doesn't want to change, doesn't want to save the changes we make to the stream name for some reason. I've had the issue since last Friday where we have to go in and do it 3 times before it actually changes. So the title of the stream should finally change now. But with that, guys, we are here to talk about AEW Dynamite. We're here to talk about NXT. And I want to say thank you for joining us here either on twitch.tv/PW Unlimited or youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Now, if you guys saw today, we have a new video out. Here's where I talk about 7 possible matches for WrestleMania 37 this year from Raymond James Stadium. Now, as of right now, the video is out for early access. That's basically for people that are subscribed either on our Patreon or as a YouTube channel member. So like I stated, if you guys are a YouTube channel member, and to be a channel member, all you have to do is hit that join button down below where it says subscribe, or go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/PW Unlimited, and sign up there, and you can see this video. We are going to be doing more videos like this for our Patreon and YouTube member subscribers. And hopefully the plan is to get a couple of these videos a month. I would love to do one a week, but, you know, sometimes the topics aren't just there every week to do these longer non-news video essay type videos. So again, if you do want to see that video right now, you can do so by either joining our Patreon or becoming a channel member on YouTube. This video will go live for everybody else Sunday morning. The reason it's going live Sunday morning, and most of you will probably hear this before Sunday, but I give my main predictions for the Royal Rumble there on who I think is going to win the men's and who I think is going to win the women's Rumble. But with that, also, if you are here on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways, either by hitting that donation button down below, donating some Twitch bits, or becoming a subscriber to the channel either with a tiered subscription or with Amazon Prime, because if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. And with Prime Gaming, you get 1 free subscription to any Twitch channel that you want to support throughout the month, and I would greatly appreciate it if you supported us here, PW Unlimited. Also, if you want to support us on YouTube, you could do so by giving us either a super sticker or super chat donation in the live stream. And, well, if you give a super chat donation, it will be read on the air. But with that, enough of the, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for, housekeeping. Let's start talking about AEW. AEW Dynamite kicked off immediately with Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer. Also, if you're on Twitch, Broken King Slender found it. We got a new Too Sweet emoji for our channel subscribers. Like I stated, Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer started off this match. Neither man had any associates come out with them. Butcher and the Blade and Bunny didn't come out with, or didn't stay out with Eddie Kingston, and Jake the Snake Roberts didn't stay out with Lance Archer. Early on, they traded some stiff shots, and Archer downed Kingston with a pounce. Archer continued the attack on Kingston as he chopped him until he chokeslammed him in the corner and on the floor. I think Tony Schiavone said that may have broken his back, something along those lines. Archer then kept up the offense on the floor before flattening Kingston with a Uranagi into the ring. Kingston drop-kicked Archer down and landed a running forearm for a 2, but Archer popped right back up with the ripcord lariat. He then went for a blackout, but Kingston fought out. So Archer hit a chokeslam and his rope walk moonsault, that is. We then saw him do the EBD claw. He followed that up with the Butcher and Blade coming out all of a sudden. Jake Roberts would come out as well, and the Bunny slipped Kingston some knucks after the distraction or whatnot. Kingston then landed the weapon-assisted spinning back fist and picked up the victory. So Eddie Kingston does beat Lance Archer here tonight. After the match, the Butcher and the Blade hit their tag team finisher on Archer, and Kingston hit a second spinning back fist. I thought the match was all right. I don't know why, but, they gave a lot of offense to Archer here, and Kingston was kind of just like there. Like Archer got a lot of offense on here. Going forward, we got a video from Jon Moxley. They tried to make us think that he wasn't there. Moxley said he tried to decipher the story of the Elite. He said he's a simple guy who trusts in his right hand and his left hand. So the story doesn't matter because he loves a good 6-man tag team match, even though he's facing some guys that have wanted to beat him up recently, like Phoenix, because Phoenix was aligned at one point with Eddie Kingston, and Eddie Kingston doesn't like Jon Moxley, and so in turn Phoenix didn't like Jon Moxley. Either way, he said that they're going to take on Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers next week. He also said, I love good sex in the morning. Because hold on. I didn't write the quote down, but let me get his exact quote, because this is kind of ridiculous. Jon Moxley stated, and I quote. Let me find it. I tweeted it out. He likes sex in the morning because it's a good way to start your day. I'm like, okay, so we now know that he and Renee wake up in a mood, in a good mood, I would say. Basically, he said that next week is going to be wild, so don't blink. They got another promo from a random area. It was Sting and Darby Allin in some abandoned warehouse. Sting started saying like he was hurt by being called a hoodlum. But Darby is a hoodlum. Allin said it doesn't matter how dirty you play in the streets because it's all about survival. Allin threw a skateboard through a window behind him. Sting then broke some windows with his bat. Sting then ended up saying, you know what? In fact, I am a hoodlum. And it's showtime at Revolution. And so everybody on Twitter started going, I'm a hoodlum. I'm a hoodlum. And my first thought was, well, I'm not a hoodlum. But my grandma used to call us grandkids heathens. She used to always say, you damn heathens. So I'm a heathen, not a hoodlum. Next up, we got Chris Jericho and MJF against the Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. So this was a nice match, and they really gave a lot to the Blondes. They got to really show what they can do. Before the match, MJF said that notes kind of shifted on me. Before the match, MJF said that he needed to talk to Sammy Guevara after the match. He'd been looking for him and can't find him. He then addressed Garrison and asked him to skip the formalities and say, "I quit. There's no reason for us to do this match." The announcers pointed out that Guevara was applauding when Garrison attacked MJF. Jericho tagged in at one point early on in this match with a flurry of offense from the Blondes, though. He tried to fire back with some strikes, but Pillman clotheslined him and downed him until MJF was able to tag in. Actually, no, he didn't tag in. He just jumped in as the illegal man and tried to fight. Led to a commercial break. During the break, Pillman made a comeback with a diving crossbody, leading to some really nice a really nice hot tag from Garrison. Garrison ran wild with clotheslines and foiled multiple attempts to cut him off. He finished it off with the double spear on MJF for a 2. Pillman tagged in again and landed a missile dropkick before downing Jericho with a thrust kick for a 2. He sent Jericho to the floor with the dropkick, but was met with a Judas effect and a lion salt for the finisher as soon as Jericho jumped back into the ring. I love Jericho's lion salt. He's 50 years old and still doing it. More power to you, bro. MJF and Guevara exchanged some words after this match, which we saw more of them later as well. Pac was in a random location. Pac talked about Kenny Omega. He called him a manipulator and a cheater and told Omega to bring his good brothers because he and Phoenix will show them the true meaning of brotherhood. Next week, Omega faces the consequences of his actions. So, here's the weird thing. Last week, they stated that Cody Rhodes is going to come out and address the comments made by Shaq, but they never said what those comments were. We were all just to believe that it was what Shaq said about Cody when Brandy threw the drink on him. But then tonight on the BR Live app, they actually aired the AEW Dynamite Awards, and Shaq had some choice words for Cody Rhodes, and those are the words that Cody talked about, basically. It's like, you're going to announce something and say that Cody's going to respond to something that hasn't even been said or done yet? That made no sense to me. But a video of Shaquille O'Neal challenging Cody played. He called Cody a punk and told him to name the time and place before landing on March as the time. Because it's like, why are you going to say if they would have said, next week we got the AEW Dynamite Awards and we got a special appearance on that from Shaquille O'Neal, who has some choice words for Cody Rhodes. Cody's going to hear those choice words and respond to it on Dynamite. That would have been the way to go. But not just to say, next week on Dynamite, Cody Rhodes is going to respond to what Shaquille O'Neal said about him or whatever. And I'm like, what? And we were confused all week. Anyways, Cody and Arn came out to the ring. We got Big League Cody because he made Tony Schiavone hold his microphone, but made Arn Anderson hold his own microphone. Like, Cody too big. Cody got too big of an ego to hold his own microphone. He needs that interviewer to interview him. And then he just says, oh yeah, Arn, you got a mic, talk. Like, fuck this guy. Anyways, where was I? Cody was interviewed by Tony Schiavone, and he asked Cody to respond to Shaq and Jade Cargill. Instead, Cody said that he'd like to just promote something. How about on March 7th? We promote AEW Revolution. He said, in a perfect world with nothing out of the ordinary, it would be himself and his wife challenging Shaq and Jade to a match. But we can't have that because Brandy's going to have a baby soon. She's pregnant. And we got a baby daddy chant. Cody basically said, only in AEW can you get a baby daddy chant. I was like, fucking stupid. Anyways, Cody said, I had that idea. I can't do that idea, but I know Arn has talked to Tony Khan about what my role will be at Revolution. So, Arn, what did you talk to Tony about? And Arn goes, well, before I get to that, I got to say something. Cody, do you know what June 29th, 1985 is? And Cody gets a big grin on his face. And Arn goes, that night, I watched your father fight Tully Blanchard, then hop on a flight and immediately fly home. So that way he could be there. And he did make it there the birth of you, his baby boy, Cody. Cody got a little teary-eyed here in the story. Orton said that if Cody decides to fight in March, he should do it with no regrets. Basically said that there's a lot of time between the March 7th pay-per-view and when Brandy's going to go into labor, so you don't have to worry about missing it. And don't miss it because basically the birthday of your child, especially your first child, greatest thing ever. Arn then said, if Cody decides to fight, then maybe he's not going to have to do it alone. Arn said that there's something that caught his eye. He said Shaquille O'Neal, when he played in the NBA, dominated all the time. He said Jade Cargill, she walks into a room, dominates the attention in a room. But 2 weeks ago, somebody else got his attention, and out would come Red Velvet. And my first thought was, I don't want to see Red Velvet. She's not been that good in the ring, and they've done nothing to hype her up. Well, in one promo, they did enough to almost make me go, okay, Red Velvet will work. Red Velvet will work. Oops, wrong. Red Velvet came out, and she cut her promo on Jade, basically. Arn said that both she and Cody, they got fire. Velvet said that she's fed up and tired of getting attacked and watching Brandy get disrespected. She said, Cody, I know him, and he's not going to lay a hand on Jade, but I will. She said, I'm Red Velvet, and I'm about to stir her bitch ass up. I go, okay. And then one of the commentators, which it may have been JR, I can't remember, go, did she say bitch ass or something like that? I'm like, okay. So Schiavone concluded the segment by saying the ball is now in Shaq and Jade's court. So in all honesty, it looks like at AEW Revolution, we are going to get freaking Jade Cargill and Shaquille O'Neal against Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet. The fuck? Are you kidding me? Basically, this is going to be a Jade and Red Velvet match while Cody and Shaq sit on the apron, and then eventually Shaq will come in, so Cody will get to come in, and Shaq will do one thing. Shaq ain't doing shit in this match, and I don't want to see Shaq do anything, to be honest. But basically, this is a glorified Jade Cargill Red Velvet match with, I guess, partners/managers on the apron the whole time. Who's excited for this bullshit? Not me. Not at all. Also, our polls have finished up here on Twitch. 75% of you said that you liked AEW Dynamite tonight, with 25% stating that you thought it was all right and 0% disliked it. Over on YouTube, as far as our poll for Dynamite does go, 53% liked the show, 26% thought it was all right, and 19% did not like tonight's Dynamite. Next up, a video played just hyping up the wedding of Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford next week at Beach Break. We then got the AEW debut of Ryan Nemeth, the Hollywood hunk, took on Hangman Page. And yes, we all know this. Ryan Nemeth is the younger brother of WWE superstar, former world champion, old Dolph Ziggler. Or should I say, Nikki of the Spirit Squad. So the two had a really good match. They performed some chain wrestling early until Page downed Nemeth with a boot. Page kept up the offense with more strikes, pounding on Nemeth in the corner. He sent Nemeth to the floor with his springboard clothesline and followed it up with the plancha. Back in the ring, Page missed a corner clothesline and Nemeth downed him with a drop kick. This is when, for some random reason, Matt Hardy would appear. But he didn't attack anybody. He was scouting Hangman Page. Nemeth maintained control with a neck breaker, but he only got a 1 count off of it. Page would then fire out of that 1 count and hit a lariat and down to Nemeth with a spine buster. He then hit a sliding lariat followed by a 2 count pin. Nemeth countered a backdrop with a DDT for a 2 of his own. Page countered out of a suplex and landed a discus forearm. He would then hit the buckshot lariat and defeat Ryan Nemeth. So after the match, Matt Hardy was leaving, and it seems like I guess Hangman told him not to go, and then Tony Schiavone would come down to the ring. Tony came down to talk to both Page and Hardy. Hardy said that he came out here to be in Page's corner and support him. He said, I was there with Hangman Page at the Stadium Stampede, and I know what it was like for him to have to be there, but feel like he wasn't actually included with, the elite. He said, I see what's happening to you now, where you change, where your locker room is, where you dress. Like you're in a random hallway over by the bathrooms. I've got my own big locker room where you can come with me. What do you say? Matt Hardy's basically recruiting Hangman Page, but if we've learned anything, you don't want to sign with Matt Hardy because in AEW, he's going to take 30% of your pay. Hardy said he doesn't want any. He stated, though, I don't want anything from Page. He said, I just want you to know that I'm here for you and I want to see you happy. So basically, Schiavone said, you should take him up on this offer. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Page didn't say anything. Next up, we had Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood. And as Jungle Boy was wrestling in this match, throughout the first half of the match, and even after the commercial, they were still singing his theme song. And his theme song started trending on Twitter. Tarzan Boy. Like, they don't even sing Jericho's song after the match starts. They don't keep singing Judas, but they kept doing, or however it goes. I don't know exactly the rhythm of it. But they kept doing it, like, even after the commercial break. So this was a very good back and forth match, as at ringside, Luchasaurus was handcuffed to both Tully Blanchard and Cash Wheeler. So, where was I? Early on in the match, Harwood powdered Jungle Boy into the corner, exchanged some words, and the action started. Jungle Boy achieved a takedown with an arm drag, so they were even and locked up again. Harwood downed Jungle Boy with a shoulder tackle, but Jungle Boy won the following sequence with a drop kick. He locked on a submission, and they talked about how Jungle Boy's trying to perfect this submission. And maybe that could be the thing that he does that no one's going to expect. Him become a submission wrestler. Harwood reached the ropes to cause the break, though. Luchasaurus and Harwood were jaw-jacking at ringside. Jungle Boy brought his opponent back into the ring. Harwood took control with a boot to the midsection. He laid in some chops as well. Jungle Boy fired back with chops of his own. Harwood was too powerful, though. And he took down a kneeling Jungle Boy and hit him in the breadbaskets. Jungle Boy used some evasive maneuvers, though, to send Harwood shoulder first to the post. He went for a baseball slide, but Harwood sent him into the barricade as we went to the commercial. After the break, they're still singing a song, Tarzan Boy, and Harwood was continuing the beatdown. At one point, he hit a jawbreaker, which allowed Jungle Boy to start the comeback because he kind of like reversed the jawbreaker-ish. A series of elbow strikes sent Harwood down to the mat. Jungle Boy went to the top rope, but took too long. And Harwood flattened him with a Saito suplex. Harwood at one point hit a slingshot Liger bomb for a 2. He then hit a dragon suplex. Jungle Boy fought out before attacking his injured arm that he had been working on earlier. Harwood, though, landed a knee to the midsection and rolled Jungle Boy up for a great near fall. Jungle Boy kicked out and applied the snare trap submission, which is like a Indian deathlock crossface type deal. Jungle Boy adjusted the hold, and Harwood did actually tap out to Jungle Boy. So Jungle Boy was right when he said, FTR, you may be one of, if not the best tag team in the world, but I know I can beat either of you one-on-one. So after the match, Tully threw powder in Luchasaurus' face, and Wheeler beat down Jungle Boy when he got free. Harwood hit a slingshot suplex on FTR. No. I wrote that wrong. Harwood hit a slingshot suplex on Jungle Boy. And Tully hit a diving spike pile driver on Luchasaurus as FTR held him. FTR then handcuffed Luchasaurus to the top ropes as he was like hanging from the top rope over the outside. and then they cut the horns off of his mask. They then teased cutting off Jungle Boy's hair before Marco Stunt ran out with the steel chair. SCU also ran down as well to make the save. So it looks like they're setting up some sort of a tag team match between Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler, hair or mask match. Now here's the question though. If they're setting up where Jungle Boy puts his hair on the line or Luchasaurus puts his mask on the line, what does FTR put on the line? Holy as their manager? That's the question now I'm imposing to you guys. If they do a match where Jungle Boy puts his hair on the line or Luchasaurus puts the mask on the line, what does FTR put on the line? Let us know. The Team Taz had another video. A lot of pre-produced backstage videos tonight. Taz responded to Sting and Darby's promo from earlier in the night. Taz began to speak, but they noticed a merch stand that was selling some Sting gear. Everybody, included Hook, attacked the workers. They also broke the stand down. Cage sent one of the guys headfirst into a truck, like a lawn dart. Basically, they were supposed to... I really felt like they were trying to recreate the NWO's backstage attack and the freaking lawn dart spot with Nash and Mysterio. Like, this literally seemed like they were just trying to recreate something like that. Trying to get some buzz, trying to get some heat, trying to say, oh, look at the damage these guys can do, and they don't care about repercussions. Like, AEW tries to be WCW Nitro way too much sometimes. They haven't in a while. But when they first started, they were doing Nitro shit all the time. And then they did it again tonight. Anyways. Starks put one guy through a table. Taz then said Starks and Cage would beat Sting and Darby Allin in the street fight, which is a month and 10 days away. March 7th was confirmed tonight. AEW Revolution will be taking place on March 7th, as Cody did state. Going forward, we had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, taking on Shanna. And Jim Ross just don't give two fucks because he kept calling her Shayna, and it wasn't an accent thing. He was just saying Shayna. Shayna. So I thought these two worked really well together. They performed some chain wrestling early, and Baker took control until Shanna downed her with an enziguri. Shanna went for a running dropkick, but Rebel pulled Baker out of the way, and she basically slipped out of the ring. Baker took the advantage with an attack on the floor ahead of the break. Shanna sent Baker to the canvas and landed a clothesline for a 2. Baker escaped out of the move into a cradle for a 2 before hitting a short thrust kick. A swinging neckbreaker followed with another 2. Baker then went for the lockjaw, but Shanna cradled out of it for a 2 of her own and hit a stunner and a running drop kick. Rebel yet caused another distraction as Shanna went for a tiger driver, allowing Baker to apply the lockjaw, and Shanna would tap out immediately. After the match, Baker curb stomped Shanna face first, and then Thunder Rosa's music played as she ran down to make the save. Baker and Rebel ran away. Sorry about that, guys. We got a camera crew. They're following MJF. Said he was looking for Sammy Guevara, even though they talked earlier, technically. MJF promised that he didn't tell Wardlow to get involved the last week. He said, because of that, I docked Wardlow's pay. Guevara called MJF one of the best manipulators in all of the business and said that he sees exactly what MJF is up to. MJF would get serious and go, oh, that's how you want to play it now. That's the way we're going to play this? And Guevara said, I'm not playing. So it looks like Sammy's going to split off from the Inner Circle here probably soon and turn babyface. And then we're going to get, if I'm predicting Revolution, March 7th, Sammy Guevara versus MJF. And the question would be, whose corner is Jericho going to be in? Whose corner is the rest of the Inner Circle going to be in? And is that like the final send-off of Sammy Guevara as part of the Inner Circle? Because the question is, where does Jericho's loyalty really lie? If we end up getting this Sammy Guevara versus MJF match, who does Jericho side with? Sammy, who's been with him from the start? Well, from the start of Dynamite? Or MJF, who's kind of snaked his way in as Jericho's new friend. So that's going to be a really big one. So we got some stuff for next week, as next week is a beach break. And we did learn that, well, there's a bunch of teams in this AEW Tag Team Championship #1 Contenders Battle Royal, including the Young Bucks. So let's run down everything we know about this Battle Royal, because we got names and we got an interesting stip added on as well. So in this tag team tournament, or Battle Royal, we've got Top Flight, Private Party, Jurassic Express, FTR, Jericho and MJF, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, Santana and Ortiz, Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager, and The Acclaimed. The Young Bucks are in the match as well, and they did state if the champs, the Young Bucks, are victorious, then they get to choose who they want to defend their titles against at the pay-per-view on March 7th. Now, my question is, who doesn't see the Young Bucks winning? I see the Young Bucks winning, and then most likely, and they teased it tonight, defending against the Good Brothers. That's my prediction. Bucks, Good Brothers, Revolution. We also said, next week we got the wedding of Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, Dr. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa, and Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers against Jon Moxley, Pac, and Rey Fenix. They also hyped up the street fight between Team Taz and Sting and Darby Allin, and then we got another interesting announcement. AEW would go on to announce, 2 weeks ago actually, AEW would go on to announce that we're getting a AEW Women's Championship Eliminator Tournament. And the brackets looked, when we first learned about this, they just said, it's coming soon. And they showed the brackets. On one side, there was an American flag. On the other side, there was a Japanese flag. Well, tonight, we learned some more info on this tournament. Tonight, they announced on the U.S. side of the bracket, the NWA Women's World Champion Serena Deeb will be taking on the first ever AEW Women's World Champion, Riho. That's the first match that has been announced for this tournament, but there's a couple things to unpack here. First, it still says coming soon. They wouldn't tell us when the tournament kicks off. Also, it was very interesting that they said on the U.S. side of the bracket, yet there was an American and a Japanese wrestler facing off. So my question here, and my thought process is maybe, just maybe, half of the tournament will take place in America, and the other half is going to take place in Japan. I don't know what promotion they team up with, most likely Stardom. But there's a good chance from the way that it was worded tonight that maybe half of this tournament takes place in Japan. I don't know that for a fact. It's just what I'm thinking. But that first match in the tournament will be Serena Deeb versus Riho. Again, it did not state when the match was taking place. Let me double check that. I have the graphic here. They did not state when the match is taking place. I believe the graphic just says coming soon. Yeah, it just says Serena Deeb versus Riho, first round, coming soon. They can't even tell us when this match is taking place. Going forward, it's time for our main event. And Dasha interviewed 4 of the members of this main event. First, she interviewed the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers. Good Brothers acted all wacky as they normally do and kept saying that this is a great Bullet Club reunion. Bullet Club this, Bullet Club that. Even Excalibur mentioned Bullet Club on freaking commentary. And my question is, how are they getting away with this? They did it on the Impact pay-per-view. Now they're doing it here. Bullet Club, Bullet Club, Bullet Club. They don't know the rights. They don't own the rights to the name. Yeah, they kept saying Biz Cliz or Biz Clitz. And Gallows does own the rights to that name. He does own the rights to Biz Clit. But when you look up the trademark of Bullet Club on the U.S., what is it? I don't want to say this wrong. It is the United States Patent and Trademark Office website. When you look up Bullet Club, it states that the United States trademark for this is owned by New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it's not even like New Japan trademarked it in Japan. No, New Japan has trademarked this in America. So something got to be down there for them to be able to use this, not just at the Impact pay-per-view and think, we'll get away with it, but tonight on TNT. Just saying. So they said that next week at Beach Break, they're going to beat up Pac. Next week at Beach Break, they're going to beat up Ray Phoenix. But they said what really got them hyped is they're going to, 1, 2, 3, beat up Jon Moxley. And my first thought was, okay, you're just using your old WWE thing. Might as well have said, beat up Dean Ambrose. It wasn't funny when they did it in WWE, and it's still not funny. So Matt Jackson said, hey, we're all for this little reunion here and wrestling with you guys, as long as that puppet guy, that manipulator Don Callis, Uncle Don, doesn't show up. Well, we're about to argue because Good Brothers are trying to say that Don's not a bad guy when Kenny Omega would show up. Kenny Omega showed up, and he was, for some reason, he showed up. Don Callis then showed up, and Callis' face was heavily bandaged. Callis said that his face is bandaged up because the Young Bucks attacked him. They tried to say no, they didn't. And then their music hit, and Don goes, your music's playing. Hey, boys, you need to go, before they can explain anything. So everyone comes down to the ring, the Young Bucks, the Good Brothers, and the Dark Order. And like I stated, on commentary, they said the word at least twice I heard, Bullet Club. So, thumbs up. Something's up. So Evil Uno and Carl Anderson started off the match. Uno hit an atomic drop and rolled Anderson up for a quick 2. Silver tagged in and wanted Gallows, the big guy. The height difference was a great visual here as Gallows taunted him for a little while. Silver laid in some forearms, but Nick kicked him in the back, allowing Matt to tag in. Matt did his usual heel work stuff, including raking the back. Reynolds and Matt had an exchange when he tagged in, but then Nick would tag in and hit a corner knee and a bulldog. All 4 of the Bucks and the Good Brothers worked over Alex Reynolds, including a 2-sweet pose here. Both teams tripped up the wrestlers in the ring, and Reynolds reached Grayson for a hot tag. Grayson then looked great here. He dispatched everybody in his path with a fantastic hot tag. He concluded it with a frog splash on Carl Anderson for a 2, but it was broke up. During the break, the Bucks and the Brothers took control by double-teaming Grayson. Back from the break, a well-placed kick allowed Grayson to escape and tag in John Silver, who hit the greatest of greatest hot tags. He looked like a man on fire. He looked like a boys challenge for the TNT title kind of guy right here. He was solid. Backdrop Nick Jackson, that is, over his head. And he followed up with the sequence, not unlike the incredible hot tag of Brody Lee on the incredible hot tag on the Brody Lee tribute show. He also hit a brainbuster that basically was like a deadlift brainbuster off the floor. He hits the backdrop. Nick does the backdrop. Soon as Nick takes the bump, freaking John Silver's already got him up going for the brainbuster. It was a great visual. Evil Uno with a tag in and hit a neck breaker, but he whiffed on a senton bomb. Matt tagged in and hit a double Northern Lights suplex and a double clothesline on 2 members of the Dark Order. Silver and Reynolds double-teamed Matt in the ring before Dark Order hit the fatality, but the Good Brothers broke up the pin. Nick hit a super kick, and everyone followed it with an Escalara dive onto the pile. Uno, Silvers, and Reynolds were then all powerbombed on the apron by Nick Jackson, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson. They all 3 hit apron powerbombs, and Nick Jackson looked like he was having fun. But a little too much fun in the form of, hey, don't get distracted by what's really important. Tag titles. Because these 2 guys may act like they're your friends. They may say, hey, brother, we're here to sweeten it. Woo, biscuits. But these hombres, and you know what they're all about. Probably going to turn on the Bucks eventually. Eventually, the match breaks down. They dispatch Uno with a magic killer, and the Bucks hit Grayson with a Meltzer driver to pick up the victory. After the match, Matt Jackson talks about them being placed in the Battle Royal next week and what that could mean. He said, if we win, we get to pick our opponents for the pay-per-view. We get to pick anybody we want to face. And Matt slowly turns around and looks at the Good Brothers. He goes, and we mean anybody. And all four men to sweet it before Ray Phoenix would run down. Phoenix would run down and try to, well, actually not try to, he double drop kicked the Bucks. Good Brothers jumped on him and attacked him as he was overwhelmed. They set him up for the Magic Killer, but he got out of that as well. Moxley would then run down to make the save. Phoenix took out the Good Brothers with the ridiculous tope where he flew so far that he hit the tope, and after he did, he literally landed sitting on the barricade. He was literally sitting on the barricade and just kind of goes, okay, yeah, I did that. Kenny Omega would then run down and try to attack Moxley with his boot or a shoe, whatever you want to call it. But Moxley saw him coming, hit him with the paradigm shift. Phoenix then jumped back into the ring with the tag titles in hands, mind you. And then, well, the two posed. Well, Phoenix posed and Moxley did his whole snarl, I'm mad, I'm going to walk around the ring as the show went off the air. So, with that, that was AEW Dynamite. I thought the show was pretty good. I really thought there was going to be more hype for Beach Break next week because literally, we only know of 3 matches. I don't remember the last time we left the Dynamite and only knew 4 things for a show. We got the Battle Royal, 6-man tag, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, and the wedding. Usually we know of like 5 or 6 things coming out of Dynamite for the next week, especially if it's a special edition. Usually if it's a special edition, they tell us the whole card the week before. They didn't. Well, that's got me perplexed. But that was AEW Dynamite. Because now we transition to WWE NXT, which in all honesty was not as good of a show. It was okay. I liked NXT, but I didn't like it as much as Dynamite. Let's throw the poll up though. Far as NXT does go. Oop, don't want to click that button. Poll. Why can't I find the poll? Manage poll. New poll. What? NXT. Liked it. It was alright. I didn't like it. Start that poll here on Twitch. Run the same poll on Twitter. Whoop, that's not typing. All right, let me know what you guys thought of both of this show, actually. You already told me what you thought of Dynamite. Now let me know what you thought of NXT. Also, remember, guys, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you in the form of a text message. If you want to text into the show, let me know what you thought of either of these 2 shows tonight. You can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. Again, that number is 510-906-1341. You can also put a super chat donation in on YouTube to get your question read there as well. NXT immediately kicks it off with the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. It's MSK, Nash Carter, and Wes Lee against Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. As the match got going, MSK cut off Maverick and kept him in their corner. Quick tags and great teamwork was seen by MSK. Dane eventually got a hot tag and cleaned house, though. Teamwork by Maverick and Dane got them a near fall, but Lee broke it up as Carter was being pinned. Maverick and Dane at one point worked over Lee during the commercial break. They were still in control when the show returned from the break. Hot tag from Carter, though, saw him a house of fire. And MSK hit their assisted standing moonsault. Carter then hit an acai moonsault on the floor. Lee rolled up Maverick for a 2 count, and Maverick soon ate a back elbow. Carter tagged in, and MSK executed their heart attack blockbuster combo. Carter then covered Drake Maverick for the pinfall victory to advance in the next round of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. After this, they showed the tag team champs Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch showing up for their main event match tonight. And so next we got something that was a little off. So I know yesterday I had seen on WWE's website they were still advertising Kurt Stallion challenging for the Cruiserweight Championship. Then they do a sit-down interview with Kurt Stallion, and they say he will be challenging for the title later on tonight. Kurt Stallion did a sit-down interview with Mackenzie Mitchell. Stallion talked about making towns from West Texas all the way to Chicago. He talked about seeing shooting stars and following that stardom, or something like that. He said he will get a rocket strapped to his back, and the Lone Star will become a superstar later tonight. We got a Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic match. It was Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai against Jessie Kamea and Aew. This match went by so fast, I didn't even really get many notes, because I was just like watching this show. I looked over at Dynamite, and I looked back like a minute or two later, if even that, and I'm like, well, this match just about over. Because freaking Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez just dominated. I know Aew tried, Kamea tried, but there are no match. At one point, Dakota Kai hit a swinging DDT, and Aew tagged out. Kamea jumped in the ring, but she ran right into a lariat from Gonzalez. Kamea then took a chokeslam bomb from Gonzalez, and Gonzalez pinned her to pick up the victory and advance to the next round of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Tyler Rust had an enhancement match. Basically just beat some rando by submission. The match was mostly all Rust, except for one little spot where he was distracted by his own manager. Rust quickly came back into the match, applied the Rings of Saturn, and picked up the victory. Malcolm Bivens was... I don't get this. Malcolm Bivens is supposed to be like... He wanted to be a serious manager. That's what we've seen from him over the years of trying to get guys and wanting to be... But he's goofing off during this match, taking selfies, and not helping out his guy. Next up, we got another Dusty Classic match. One was a really good match. I really enjoyed this match a lot. It was the Grizzly Young Veterans against Leon Ruff and Kushida. Grizzly Young Vets had the early advantage, but Kushida and Ruff soon fired up with a series of double-team moves. Drake and Gibson were reeling as the show went to break. As we came back, the heat was on Ruff, as the Vets kept him on their side of the ring, making quick tags. Ruff, though, was at one point able to tag out. Kushida flew into the ring with a freaking amazing hot tag. The Grizzly Young Vets traded places, and Kushida tied up Gibson. Kushida cut him off at one point, Kushida got cut off at one point. He took a doomsday device. Kushida managed to kick out of a near fall, and then hit a handspring elbow, take down the Vets. Ruff would then fly in with a springboard missile dropkick. He then sailed through the ropes with a tope suicida. Ruff launched himself into the turnbuckle for a flip dive to the floor. Ruff, though, missed a swanton bomb. Ruff then took a ticket to mayhem, and Drake pinned Ruff. So the Grizzly Young Veterans do move on to the next round of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Believe that's the semifinals. Also, I forgot to mention, they did state earlier in the night that I don't know about the men's tournament, but the women's tournament, the finals will be at TakeOver on February 14th. So, again, I don't know if the men's tournament finals, I assume, will possibly be at TakeOver on the 14th, which we haven't heard of anything yet for that show, which is only 1, 2, 3 weeks away. You gotta start building that puppy up. 3 weeks away. TakeOver, which is Valentine's Day. But even more important, Daytona 500, baby boy. Anyways. After the match, Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory would run down to attack Ruff and Kushida. The way jumped him. Kushida was laid out by Gargano. Theory was at ringside at one point when Dexter Lumis would appear and frighten him. He would jump into the ring, tell Johnny, hey, look, Dexter Lumis, and the way ran away. Apparently, Kurt Stallion was attacked backstage. Regal asked what had happened, and Stallion blamed El Legado del Fantasma. Match for the Cruiserweight title, now off because Stallion is not cleared to compete. Champion Santos Escobar was being interviewed backstage right after this when Regal would storm into his locker room, like Storm in there like he wanted to beat Escobar's ass. Jericho said Escobar will defend the championship, not tonight, but next week. And if Stallion is attacked again, there will be serious consequences for the champion and his two compadres. Well, I don't know why they couldn't do the match tonight, but they did an injury angle with Kurt Stallion to push it a week. Tony Storm came down to cut a promo, talked about the NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai and their history. Storm wanted to become the first person to win the Women's Dusty Classic. Io screwed that all up. Storm then vowed revenge, says she's also looking to become a champion, NXT Women's Champion. Shirai came down to the ring. Oh, also, Tony Storm said, I won the Mae Young Classic, and who did I beat? I beat you, Io. Shirai came down to the ring to confront Storm. Shirai said that she'll fight her anywhere, anytime. Shirai said that she did not like Tony. They started to brawl, and Shirai knocked Tony out of the ring when all of a sudden Mercedes Martinez would jump her from behind. Martinez hit a huge slam, and Shirai made a comeback with a springboard missile dropkick. The brawl continued, and Storm delivered a hip attack on Shirai in the corner. Grabbed the belt and posed with it in the middle of the ring. Well, I don't know exactly what's going on here. It looks like Tony Storm's going to get that next shot. Could be Mercedes Martinez, but maybe Mercedes and Tony are a team because they did team in the Dusty Classic, and Mercedes is going to help Tony get the title. I don't know exactly what's going on here. I mean, why not just do a triple threat at the pay-per-view at the TakeOver? February 14th, triple threat, women's title on the line. Io, Tony, Mercedes. Be a hell of a match. Then they got a vignette focusing on Imperium that really made it seem like, and I can't confirm this, but really made it seem like Walter is coming and he's pissed off. Undisputed Era were interviewed backstage about the tournament and their next match as Adam Cole and Roderick Strong will have to take on the team with Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. They said they've had plenty of wars with Tommaso Ciampa and no Ciampa, but they don't really know Timothy Thatcher. They said if this is going to be anything like the Fight Pit last week, they're in for a hard-hitting match. Next up, we had Bronson Reed against Isaiah Swerve Scott. Scott was very aggressive in this match as it started off, and he was tripped on the apron. Reed flew through the ropes with the tope suicida before the commercial break. When we came back, Reed soon... where was I? Yeah, we came back from break, and Scott was swatted basically right out of the air. Just swatted. Reed hit a Death Valley driver, but Scott managed to kick out. Scott cut off Reed when he climbed the turnbuckles. Scott fell backwards with an avalanche shoulder breaker on Reed. Scott then went for a 450, which I thought was going to be the finish, but nope. Bronson Reed kicked out. Reed then hulked up and dropped Scott with a headbutt. Spanish fly off the top rope and then recovered Scott to pick up the victory, so Bronson Reed defeats Swerve. Ciampa was cutting a promo backstage when Thatcher would pull up a chair and sit next to him. Basically, they vowed to defeat the Undisputed Era next week and advance in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Speaking of tag team matches, main event was a tag team match. It was the NXT champion Finn Balor against Kyle O'Reilly. No. Oh, that's wrong. He teamed with Kyle O'Reilly. Take on the NXT tag team champions Danny Burch and Oni Alorcan. There's some great grappling, great mat work. I loved this match. I thought this match was really, really fun. Back and forth action early on with quick tags by both teams. Burch and Lorcan took a powder as the show went to the first picture-in-picture commercial break. The action didn't let up though, even though they were even though they were on a break, and we can watch them on this little small screen. Burch and Lorcan began to get the heat on O'Reilly at one point. They looked to target his injured jaw. Balor came in at one point and cleared house, but he was soon trapped in their corner. Balor suffered some shoulder breakers by Lorcan. The heel tag team champions worked him over for a while, actually. Balor was eventually able to create some separation and got the hot tag to O'Reilly. He mowed down both members of the tag team championship team with some kicks. Burch tried to fight back, and he went to the middle rope, and Burch leapt into a missile dropkick. O'Reilly caught him on the impact. O'Reilly then trapped him in a heel hook, and Burch tapped out. Basically, Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly pick up the victory. After the match, Pete Dunne would run down to the ring to brawl with Balor. Lorcan and Burch helped him as they jumped on Balor as well. O'Reilly tried to make the save, but the numbers were too much 3-on-2. Dunne knocked down Balor with a cheap shot, and Dunne also snapped Balor's fingers. Adam Cole and Roderick Strong would run down to make the save as well, and the heels didn't want to fight. They ran away. So Dunne, Lorcan, and Burch just stood at the top of the ramp staring down the Undisputed Era as they were in the ring, and Finn Balor was on ringside, or at ringside, so it looks like we could be getting Danny Burch, Oney Lorcan, Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong. 6-man tag coming up possibly next week. We'll have to see. But that was NXT. As far as your NXT poll does go on Twitch, 57% liked NXT. 29% thought it was all right. No, 29% didn't like NXT. 14% thought it was all right. As far as the poll on YouTube does go, let's end that poll here. And 45% did like NXT tonight. 40% thought it was all right. And 13% didn't like NXT. But now, I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you guys thought of tonight's NXT. You can let me know by hitting up that text message line right there. Right there, 510-906-1341. And that number is 510-906-1341. Got a couple text messages here. This person says, Dolph Ziggler's brother wrestles just like Ziggler. Also, where do you think the Hangman Matt Hardy thing goes? Honestly, I don't know. This would be like when they were teasing Hangman joining the Dark Order, I go, okay, that'd be all right. If he joins Matt Hardy, that's stupid. Just utterly dumb. First says, what do you think of all the rumors? What do you think about all the rumors about the Royal Rumble? What rumors are you alluding to? I don't know what you're talking about. I've heard stuff, but I don't know what stuff you're talking about, bud. First says, if Goldberg was in AEW and fight Shaq in a match, Goldberg would beat Shaq in 5 minutes flat with 3 spears and a jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Shaq ain't getting... First off, Goldberg ain't going to AEW. He's got a multi-year deal with Vince to do 2 matches a year. That ain't happening anytime soon. Also, Shaq ain't going to do 5 minutes of a match. Why do you think we're doing a tag match? So Shaq can sit on the apron and do 45 seconds of a match. Shaq ain't doing a fucking 5-minute match. First says, any news on what's going on with Bobby Fish and when we could see him back? Haven't seen him in a while. I believe he had surgery. Double check. December 11th, Bobby Fish undergoes surgery. Bobby Fish confirmed he was injured at War Games and needed elbow surgery. Yep, Bobby Fish is out. No clue how long he's going to be out for. Like an elbow arm deal. Versus I'm really getting tired of the Bucks, Kenny, Gallows, and Anderson calling themselves Bullet Club. New Japan is not doing anything about it. No, they're not. Except for Tama Tonga saying, we don't like your... What did he say? Oh, he said something clever about it. He didn't call it trash, but he called it like, oh. He said something like, we don't like your knockoff Bullet Club antics and stuff. It says, do you think Orange Cassidy will mess up Kip and Penelope's wedding next week? I almost 100% think something's going to happen. I think Chuck Taylor is... So Chuck Taylor's the butler. And as the butler, he's helping set up the wedding. So he knows every in and out of this wedding. So he's infiltrating, sending his info back to Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy and him can ruin the wedding. I mean, it's a wrestling wedding. And knowing AEW, there's going to be a lot of shenanigans. I'm going to tell you right now, this wedding is probably going to be a BTE segment on television. And finally, this text message says, could you see Finn Balor joining UE, like Balor Club 2.0? No. Because I don't see UE bringing in a leader. And that's what Finn would be. They've got Adam Cole. He's kind of their leader. They're now transitioning Cole into a guy with Kyle being the new leader-ish. But there's not really a leader in the Undisputed Era anymore. So, no. I can see them coexisting and working together on some stuff, but not him officially joining, because that wouldn't make any sense anyways. Undisputed Era are a bunch of guys that came from Ring of Honor. They don't tell us that, but that's what they are. The only person that has any sort of kind of connection to Finn is Adam Cole, because they were both in Bullet Club, but at separate times, so they really don't have a connection. So, no, I don't see it. But with that, guys, that's going to do it here. As we talked about NXT, as we talked about AEW, I want to say thank you for joining me. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. We'll be live again on Friday for Friday Night SmackDown. Then we'll be here on Sunday for the Royal Rumble. So with that, guys, have a great night, and I will see you on Friday for Friday Night SmackDown. All right, guys.